What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Verdependent podcast, where we depend on the Verde and Black for our everyday vibes. This episode is sponsored by AC Memento. AC Memento, your digital sports and concert scrapbook. This week, we recap Austin FC action from the past few weeks. We cover the start of the NWSL season and look ahead to the month of April for all things Austin FC before closing out the episode, as always, with a stoppage time rundown of the hottest Austin FC, MLS, and World Footy storylines of this past week. I'm Logan Bartlett.
And you're newly married, my guy.
I know. I was going to get there, but you're Paul Fletes. Say first.
Fine. I'm Paul Fletes.
He's Paul Fletes. And I'm married.
Dude, you're married, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's why we haven't done episodes the last couple of weeks. We didn't really talk about it. We just kind of did it.
Yo, it was really cool the way that we were just like, you know what? Let's take this break. Let's just, totally not advertise it and let folks know that we were going to be out for a little bit. But hey, we're back.
We're back.
And we're married, not to each other, although
pretty kind of.
It could happen.
Yeah,
I could see it. I can see it.
It's pretty much happened.
Anyway. Shall we preheated take?
Yeah, let's preheated take it. Start us off, Paul. What is your preheated take for this upcoming week?
Yeah, lots of weeks there. But we've got international break up ahead to look forward to. And two guys in particular that I want to key in on. One, both of them in Europe right now. One of them, Alexander Svatak, helps Ukraine past Sweden. The other one, Mirto Zuni, is not able to get enough done to help Albania past Poland. Everyone else, I won't pay attention to as much because these are big, high implication playoff games over in Europe. But there is the potential for both of those Austin FC teammates to square off against each other if they, beat their current opponents. So
which would be very fun.
Would be awesome, actually.
You do know you only get 1 point if both those things happen, though, right?
Yeah, but you know me, I've got to complicate it, and I've got to, do my usual.
Review it if they both hit. We can do a little review because that's a deep shot. So, well, mine is a little more local, and it's looking kind of beyond our second half conversation. I believe Austin will eclipse double-digit goals in league play before the end of April. Currently, we have 5 goals. Is that right? Through 5 games?
Sounds right.
Here we are.
2 against Mini, 1 RSL.
And Charlotte. Yeah.
And Charlotte, yep.
It's 5-ish. Seems very familiar to last year when we were like, where are the damn goals at? So I think we'll hit double-digit goals. I think we have 5 games in league play in April. So, if we meet the same average, cool. But I think we'll eclipse that. We'll get 11 plus is really what I'm saying. So we'll get 11 or more goals is really the take there. But
dang, okay.
We'll see, man. This really preheated given our past
the run the run of games that we've got coming up. It's going to be tricky, but I like it.
It is. And we'll get to that. But first, let's recap what we've missed, or at least what we have yet to talk about. We obviously followed everything that happened the last couple of weeks. And it's been a tough few weeks for Austin FC.
Yeah.
We just scraped away a single point of 9 available in these past 3 weeks, highlighted by lowlighted by losses to Charlotte and RSL away, which preceded a valiant yet scoreless draw at Q2 against LAFC. So let's digest all of this in 15 minutes or less. Injuries have been weighing on the rotation as Robert Taylor, Danny Pereira, and Jaden Nelson all joined BV9 and Owen Wolf on the injury list these last few weeks. Dessler still is making his way back to full fitness. He's getting minutes here and there, but he's not starting week to week as we would expect him to. How would you rate Esteves' ability to adjust his lineups given these kind of week in, week out changes to the availability?
Yeah, I think Nico Esteves has done what he can. I would say if I had to give just a blank number there, I'd probably go somewhere around the 6 to 7 out of 10 marker. But I think the hand has kind of been forced, right, with how the roster's set up right now. we're looking at folks like Nico Dubersarski to kind of
Hmm.
help supplant there in the midfield. We're looking at folks like Galley to continue to do a wondrous job of being that kind of utility wingback or what have you.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I think for the most part, it's been tricky to navigate, and we knew that this was going to be the case, especially with Owen and Brandon out for so long. But obviously, matters have gotten a little bit more complicated
They have.
with these new additions. But I think the timetable for when we're still expecting this team to really kick off, we're still a little bit early on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, what was this against Charlotte? We saw John Bell minutes early on after the Bureau red card, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yep.
Um, but that has been a trend since then due to
Mm-hmm.
injury or missing time with red cards or whatever else. And at the time, I said, early John Bell minutes equals things are going poorly,
Yeah.
which was the case for Charlotte, but it was by no means his fault necessarily long term. I
Mm-hmm.
think these last two games, RSL and LAFC, he's played very well, especially the LAFC game. With
Yep.
some cheeky dribble moves and
Yeah.
um, smart passes or smart decision making. Easy passes, not doing
Mhm.
anything crazy and contributing. But yeah, like you said, Nico Esteves's hand has been forced. Right, it's kind of the
Mhm.
point of this question. Five people out that should normally start and or be a heavy contributor off
For
the
sure.
bench. You have to make some adjustments. Um, I think he's tinkered, which is fun to see,
Mhm.
specifically in the RSL and Charlotte games where the results were not as drastic as the Charlotte game, or I'm sorry,
Correct.
RSL and LAFC game, not as drastic as the Charlotte game where,
Yeah.
the LAFC game that felt like we almost deserved 3 points,
Mhm.
RSL game that was maybe not as close as a 2-1 score would seem, but, not as
Mhm.
frustrating nonetheless. Um, we've been forced to tinker a bit, and it's been fun to see what is possible with this lineup, even with so many folks missing. So,
For sure. Can
um,
I ask you what's been your
yeah,
favorite tinker that you've seen over those past couple of games?
I think it was the John Bell, specifically John Bell's role in the LAFC game.
Yeah.
He was given a lot more flexibility to play up in the attack, and I think
Mhm.
maybe more so due to the flow of the game, he was just given the opportunity to. Maybe that was always the plan with RSL as well,
Yeah.
but we just didn't have as much possession or as much threatening play as we did against LAFC.
Mhm.
But I thought it was just fun to. I mean, it's one of those moments where when a center back playing as a kind of attacking wing back in some situations starts hitting dribble moves and nutmegging players and getting
Yeah.
crosses in the box, the whole crowd's gonna ooh and ah at that, and we did just that.
For
He had
sure.
the crowd going at least two or three times, and that's good for momentum. That's good for the team. To have those moments where a player is in inciting those types of responses, of excitement from a fan base. So
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. More so the fact that he was able to show off a little bit and be like, okay, I kind of see what's been going on here. I get it.
Yeah.
I think that's my answer to that. Was there anyone that stood out to you?
No, I think that was going to be the one that I had
Okay,
was John
that makes
Bell,
sense.
kind of coming out of the woodwork and kind of showing his quality there on the wings. But yeah, I think it's something that we can't get used to. I think everyone has already kind of gotten tired of the whole quagmire, which is the Joseph Rosales positioning, but understanding that he's got so much to his play
Hmm.
that he is. I mean, he has shown that he can work kind of in all thirds of the pitch. Um, that yeah, kind of let him roam, do what he needs to. He's got that flexibility there positionally. Um, and so that's cool to see that John Bell's another one of those defenders that has a little bit of that profile, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to see Jean Kolmanich get some minutes there, but it is what it is. He'll
for
earn his
sure,
time.
for sure.
Well, a 23rd minute red card for Yemi Biro changed the tide for Austin's 3-1 loss at Charlotte. And then VAR, rightfully, but frustratingly nonetheless, took away Austin's game winner against LAFC just a couple weeks later. Would you say Austin responded well to this adversity that possibly cost them a few points these last few weeks?
I would say, yeah. I think it was very easy for the team to kind of get down on themselves after the result at RSL. You have the game equalized away on the road, and you're just trying to hold on to that point. Then you drop it. Um, they could have very well had a negative game against LAFC, but they turned around and really tried to give the fans at home a quality performance, 90 plus minutes, and they did
Yeah.
just that. Honestly, I think like you mentioned earlier, this was a draw that definitely felt like it deserved all 3 points.
Mhm.
And so I think that says a lot about the club. It says a little bit about not a little. I think it says a lot actually about how Nico sets this team up to not rely so much on all the noise outside of the club, and just
Yeah.
really focus in on the folks that are inside that locker room, because you see it the way that these guys react to each other, and in the good times or the bad, they're always
Mhm.
supporting each other and doing all that. So I'd say that they have responded well for sure.
Yeah. I think, the Charlotte game was always going to be tough away at a game you're going to play once every 5 years or so, matching
Yeah.
up against Charlotte. They have some pretty dynamic attackers out there led by Pet Beal, of course.
Yep.
Um, and, you go down to 10 men, 25 minutes into the game, and all of a sudden, you're on the back foot the whole time. And there's not much else you can do other than
Yeah.
just weather the storm. And I thought we did decent enough job of doing that. But once the
Mhm.
team starts getting double digit shots in your face, and people start hitting some bangers into the corners and whatnot, it's a little harder.
For sure.
And not much we could do with that given the early red card. I think, like you said with the RSL game, it's a 1-1 game until the 94th minute or something like that. I thought
Yeah.
the team did well up to that point, and the dude just hits a no look, once in a career banger. He's not going to do that many other times,
Right.
um, to just seal the lead and hit it right under Stuver's outstretched hand. It's one
Yeah.
of those goals where you're just like, all right, can't even be mad at that. A dude just hit a worldie for his career highlight reel, and that's what it
Yeah.
is. So good for him.
Sure.
Bad for us though. So I
Yeah.
think again, that's one of those games, like you said, we're down bureau in terms of lineup. We have to do some adjustments on the fly that week, that weren't
Mhm.
expected because of the red card. Um, and I thought we did well on the road, well enough against the RSL team that's been decent. Um,
Yeah.
and then of course the LAFC game, it was we were all very happy with that game leaving it. Me and you and Kate and Meggie, and I think a lot of fans, as we left, were like, "Hey, that was a good ass game. Like we should have
It
won that,
was.
and
Mhm.
and we would have any other night." When asked about that matchup versus unbeaten and yet to be scored on LAFC, Nico Esteves said that Austin deserved to win this game, and this is the standard that we should expect and that we should set. What are your thoughts on this response from Nico?
Yeah, I think that was low hanging fruit to respond in that manner. I think that obviously is a sentiment that a lot of fans leaving Q2 could you know um, I guess like relate to, and
Yeah.
and and just really kind of double down again that like, hey, we had the opportunity to take LAFC on, top of the West right now. Yeah, they had extra games with CONCACAF Champions Cup and all that stuff, but
Mhm.
I mean, full credit where it's due. I mean, LAFC came and they didn't trot out, the B squad. They had a full slate of, Son and Buwanga out there.
Full
Marky
90s.
Delgado
Yeah.
was very frustrating in the midfield. At times. And so I think to be able to hold them off and almost get away with all three, it's a positive sign.
Yeah, I would agree too from the play on the field, right? You saw guys like Brendan Hines Ike, Svatak, even John Bell,
Yep.
John Gallagher making, gut busting runs back to stop LAFC counters and stop them from scoring. Obviously, Stuber had a great game himself as well.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games where if all stays the same defensively and we get a similar showing offensively, another night or another matchup, we win that
Hmm.
game 1-2-0.
Yeah.
Hugo Lloris had some great saves on his part, giving flashes to his national team pedigree.
Hmm.
You know, great runs of play from Austin to keep them guessing, to keep the defense, not knowing what comes next. That corner setup on Uzuni's should be game winner was beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
that's one of those, yes, it's offside. Okay, whatever. But it's just one of those silly things where it's like if Ilya Sanchez is 8 inches further up
Yeah.
next to Tillman, whoever was the last man back, and
Hmm.
blocking Hugo's view, it doesn't matter, So it's like it's just one of those lame things.
Yeah,
It's like, yes, it goes through his legs. Okay, I get it, but
for sure.
damn, dude, if you're a foot forward, that's a game winner right there.
Yeah. And can we take a moment to wax, like just praise on Mirto and the gang here,
Yes,
because
you should. You
I
should.
think I remember telling you at the game that, like, dude, he's getting contact on these shots. It's
Yeah,
like that one volley that led to the disallowed goal. There was another shot that he took where it was like, oh damn, like sometimes
yeah.
he would swing and miss, and we'd all be like, oh, like
No, it's
10 mil,
when he
right?
cut back to his left foot. He like took it down. He had it in the middle, top of the box. He cut right, and then a little like 180 turnaround left foot curler that Lloris had to fully reach out to save.
Yeah, that was the one at the end of stoppage.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was insane.
yep,
Um, but yeah, that dude. I mean, that's that thing where we all look at that and go, okay, this is what we paid for. This is what we should be getting. And to
exactly.
be fair, again, no one disagrees that he busts his ass all the time, but it's just to see him finally execute
Yeah,
on some of those decisions, I think is a really positive sign. Unfortunate that it's right at the front of a international break,
yes,
and the
yeah.
next
But
time
he
won't
could
be
still play with
until
Albania. He could still play
exactly,
with that
exactly.
country, take compliments and build on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
man,
think.
I think anything else from that match specific? Because I
Well,
mean,
just on the
Brandon.
Uzuni point, I just want to close that out with a last thought of like, I hope that for him moving forward in conversations with the coaching staff and conversations with Rosales and Torres and BV9 and Wolf when they're coming back and the guys that will be feeding the likes of him the ball, or he's
Mhm.
playing off Vasquez in those spaces. I hope that he gets it across that like this should be my worst game, you know, like moving forward, like I should be getting
Yeah.
the ball that much every game to where I'm taking shots. I'm getting, plays are going through me.
Yep.
I get the opportunity in the space to run and make those gut busting defensive stops and then take the ball all the way up the field,
God,
through
that was
three guys
awesome
and
when he
create
did that,
something,
dude.
like that giving Uzuni the freedom on the field to play that role because the dude hustles his ass off. So let him hustle.
Yeah.
Um, and not saying that Estevez is, limiting Uzuni's hustle. I don't think that's possible from the guy, but
Sure.
the way that we play through him, Torres is feeding him the ball. Rosales is looking for him.
Hmm.
Dessler comes on, he's looking for him, right? Even with BV9 and Wolf on the field, it's like that should be his worst game where it's like, oh, those chances they should have gone in, right?
Yeah.
Because every other game he's scoring, he's creating, he's getting, good opportunity. So I
Yeah.
hope that that's the standard that Uzuni is expecting from the coaching staff and everybody else of like, this is how we need to play. Like I need to
For
be
sure.
getting the ball,
Yeah.
in the same way that Torres is clearly been getting the ball, since he's
Hmm.
come this season. So yeah, I'm excited for what's to come, and we'll get to that in the second half. But for now, I want to let Paul, real parentheses Houston get dash fan, uh, give us a scoop on the 2026 NWSL season, which has begun these last couple weeks. So let's start, Paul, with the first. I'm sorry. Let's start first with the biggest moves on the field and on the sidelines in NWSL. Yeah, who are the big players, big names being moved? Who are the coaches coming in, coming out? Tell us the
Yeah.
storyline there.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I think the first big highlight is the two new teams in Denver Summit and Boston Legacy that have joined the NWSL, right?
Mhm.
And with that, obviously, that there was a little bit of shakeup across the league. If you think back to like when Austin joined, they had that expansion draft, excuse me.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, a mix of league veterans and just new players to the league, internationals, and all that good stuff. But I think a big name that was a sight for sore eyes, was the return of Sophia Wilson for Portland Thorns,
Right.
coming back from maternity leave, and she was able to debut on the Thorns win against oh gosh, who was that? The Washington Spirit,
Mhm.
which is the first game of the season. So so that was really cool to see that game kick off and immediately, like big stuff happening there. Both Denver and Boston, unfortunately, lost their debut games. However, Denver was able to get their first goal in their first game. I believe it was Melissa Kostler,
Okay.
who scored at Bay FC. And I think they scored, they equalized because Bay scored pretty early. Alex Pfeiffer went off and just did awesome for Bay that game. But yeah, looking at trying to see some other movements here. We've talked about these players before, but like Claire Hutton moving from KC Current over to Bay FC, Croy Bethune, her move from the Spirit over to the Current. Over in Houston, we had someone from Lobar's San Diego Wave come over to my Houston Dash.
Yep.
And she's the one that drew blood on that first game that got Houston all 3 points there. And then we've got 5 new coaches at the helm. So Portland Thorns, Carolina Courage, Chicago Stars, KC Current, Bay FC, and then, of course, the 2 new teams in Denver and Boston all got new coaches there. So a lot of new faces in 2026 there.
Yeah.
And in terms of results, I mean, it's in my name on Twitter, but Houston Dash have absolutely been killing it the first 2 games of the season, which I know it's only 2 games, but if you know the Houston Dash, you know that we've never been 2 games into the season with two wins and 6 points. And so this feels really good. A team that is showing a lot of, grit and fight and just like fun ball playing. Honestly, there's good build up, leading all the way from the middle up through the final third, and just the way that they're pressing their opponents. It's awesome to see. I know not Denver, but San Diego got their first win over the weekend. So that was really cool. But yeah, man, have you had a chance to catch up on any of the Wave action yourself, or?
It's been unfortunate, right? The reason that we haven't been doing the podcast the last couple of weeks is because I've been locked in on all the things in life, right? And so the first 2 weeks of the season happened to be the weekend I got married and the week of my honeymoon, right? So I haven't been able to watch anything live, but I've kept up with the highlights. Of course, that Dash Wave game, you gave me you talked a little shit. We texted about it a little bit before I logged off from the honeymoon,
just a little,
and then we celebrated over text that San Diego Wave naturally beat Utah Royals down a lady. It's a good win to have, but it's one that they still have to grind for a little bit. So, but from here on out, there's a game for us recording. There's a game tomorrow, as in this Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this week it's middle of the week action for the NWSL.
So I'll get to watch that one. It's one of those late kickoff games, right? It's a full West Coast matchup, so it'll be a 9 p.m. kickoff. I'll get to watch a little bit of it, which will be nice. That fortunately, the few midweek games that NWSL gets don't usually coincide with, let's say, Open Cup play or midweek MLS matches. For sure. So I won't have to worry about that. I wanted to get back to, you mentioned, of course, the debuts or the expansion teams in Boston and Denver. That brings the league to 16. Am I remembering my math correctly? Is it 16 teams now?
16 teams.
What is the future for NWSL there? Do we know? Is that being talked about? We get the 2 expansion teams this year. There's more teams coming. Are we going to 20? Are we going to 30?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we definitely have another team coming in Atlanta that kicks off in 27. So that's next season. But I think there are a couple more, and I want to say that either 18 or 20 is the magic number there. I'm trying to remember an article that I read in The Athletic about that, but for sure, I know Atlanta, because we talked about that at one point back in February about them securing that major front of shirt sponsorship and all that stuff. But the league right now is in a great place. If anyone has, that listens, that has followed the league long enough, you'll know there were days where, these matches were put on, YouTube, and you had to just stream that that way, through a video feed, and it wasn't always the best. And so for them to be where they're at now, I think it's just a testament to the growth of their game. But hell yeah, man, it's been a good time for sure.
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure we talked about this when it happened, but the collective bargaining agreement from a couple years
Mm-hmm.
back, the 2024 one, that was like a huge historic it set the stage for all of this growth and to build on the
Yep.
success.
Yeah, the
I
broadcasting deals and all that.
Yeah, exactly. I imagine that will keep propelling the league to even greater heights.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I think you're right that 20 was the magic number that they're looking at in the, I'll say, quote unquote, short term, like in the next 5 years or
Sure.
so.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, with MLS is kind of the standard of what professional soccer can look like in terms of, kind of matching the other men's leagues and other sports at 30, 32, somewhere around
Yeah.
that amount. I think NWSL has their sights set on that long term. Granted, new CBA, all these things will have to come out, of course, to
Yep.
make that possible. But that should give fans here in Austin hope that there is a path forward for a Central Texas based
Mm-hmm.
NWSL team. Because I would imagine Austin and San Antonio are on the short list. We have Minneapolis, we have Cincinnati,
Yeah.
Philadelphia, right? Like all these big markets. Um, so
And there's also, what is it, the USL Super League, which
yeah,
we can't forget about either, because there's a market up there in Dallas right now with the Trinity.
of course.
Um, but I as long as Austin gets something,
Yeah,
in addition to the Rise and all
Rise,
that
of
jazz,
course.
I think would be a great market for that. And
Yep.
yeah,
I think so. Well, we'll keep the coverage going. Like we said, we took a couple weeks off, and that unfortunately left off the actual debut of NWSL. But you know us, we stick with it. We'll
yeah,
stay. We'll keep doing halftime segments and stoppage about NWSL so we can stay on top of what's going on there.
for sure.
For now, let's take a quick break, and then we'll look ahead to April. A little preview, a little expectations for what's coming for Austin FC.
Let's do it.
And we're back. The month of April brings 5 league matches and Austin's entry into the U.S. Open Cup. This stretch features a pair of bonus away games. I need to stop. We can retire that, but 2 away games in Eastern Conference teams. One at Miami on their debut of their new stadium, Miami Freedom Park, and the other at Toronto. Then we have a tough away day at San Jose, a match hosting CCC quarterfinalist LA Galaxy here in
Mm-hmm.
Austin, and then a Copa Tejas matchup versus Houston in mid-April or late April, because I believe
Late
you'll be
April.
doing the MS 150 that weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Adding on to this, Austin will enter the Open Cup on April 14th or 15th. So Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek game. Yeah, in between 2 MLS games. So this is a packed schedule, but all
Yep.
signs point to the debuts of Owen Wolf and Brandon Vasquez during this stretch, as long as things don't change on their recoveries. So
Mm-hmm.
how can their returns propel Austin in a stretch that could set the expectations for the rest of the season?
Yeah, that's a loaded question in it, because I think everyone understood heading into this year that at least until around this time, mid-April, early May, we were never going to see, a full Austin attack. Obviously, the defense has been doing a decent job, not as strong as last season, I think, but there are glimpses of that, kind of fortress at the back
Yep,
from
that
last
is
season that we
a
saw.
matchup for sure. Yep.
All that to say is, with Owen and BV9 coming back, I think, yeah, fans can definitely look forward to probably just a little bit more fluidity within that midfield. Because I remember specifically that early half of the season last year with BV9, before he started really turning on goals, that he was playing a little bit more of that deep lying playmaking, almost like Cam role
Mm-hmm.
at times. But a lot of play was moving through him. He was hustling back and helping out defensively, tracking back. And so I think with him and Uzuni, that work rate put together, I'm choosing to subscribe to the belief that I think those two together on the pitch will figure it out.
I think
Because
so.
I think as Mirto starts to grow in that confidence, he'll understand that, like, okay, I have someone really good quality in Faku, in Brandon, and like with other people
And
around that
Owen, right?
they'll
Exactly.
figure that out. Yeah, and Owen too, right?
Yeah.
I think Owen less so will be, kind of that like, oh my gosh, we needed this all along.
Hmm.
Um, and don't get me wrong, that's not to bash him or anything, or his level of impact, because he did provide a lot for us last season. But um, yeah, I think that he jumps into the starting 11, and we do see that level go up in the midfield. However, I think it's going to be a lot more of a testament to what can Brandon provide coming back,
Yeah, he'll really
because
raise the ceiling, right? If he's able
yeah,
to.
he did so much. And I say that now, and now I'm thinking about, damn it, you know what? Owen actually did a whole lot that
Yeah,
second half
you
of
know,
last
huge
year.
storyline, right?
Yeah, so shit, I don't know. I'm just getting hyped myself, but I
Yeah,
do recognize that this is a heavy stretch in
it is.
April. Um, and it's some tough opposition too, man.
Yeah,
Look, that Miami team right now, not fun to play against.
yeah.
So not expecting a lot there. And I think, isn't Danny's timetable also just a couple weeks out left?
Something.
Um,
I think at last I saw was late April, but that was just an assumption on
yeah,
FB
it's like
Ref
4
or
or 5
something,
weeks
or
maybe,
on
but
yeah.
yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, and he's already a couple weeks through that. So um, for me, I think where I'm most eager to get some answers are, or let me start first with this. We'll see consistency. We'll finally see consistency with the lineup, right? As long as everyone else
Yeah.
around them stays healthy. BB9 and Owen Wolf they have to start.
Yep.
Given how well Owen Wolf played last year, and then the price tag for Brandon Vasquez and the quality, of course, they're pinned in starters. Owen Wolf and Facundo Torres, I think, will be a bit of a question mark of where do they play on the field,
Hmm.
especially as Jaden Nelson comes back, who will likely come back at the same time, mid-April or so, and
Yeah.
even Robert Taylor, right, as another depth piece on the wing, right? Where do we start seeing? Who do we start seeing in the midfield, right? Do we
Yep.
see two strikers up top, in Uzuni and Vasquez, and then two midfielders? What does that mean for Ilie, right? Because he's been starting a lot of these games, but
Yeah.
who's the first guy off once everybody's healthy, and of course Danny coming back too, right? So we start to get some clear order of who are the what's the preferred formation and like tactic that we're running out, and
Hmm.
the preferred starting, let's say, front five in the attack, right? We know what our back five looks like, we know who's in goal, but what do the other guys look like? Um, so I think we'll finally get some clarity around what that all looks to be throughout the trenches of this season. Um, and then I think too we'll start to see a pecking order play out, right? Because it's been Mirto's team since BV9 went down almost a year ago. He
Yeah.
stepped up. Of course, Owen Wolf stepped up statistically and really elevated his role. We've had leaders on the defense and Svatak and Biro and BHI, of course, Stuber. But in terms of the
Hmm.
attack, like this was Mirto's team. I think from a spiritual or kind of like like a vibes hustle way, it's still his team.
Yeah.
Torres might be the shiny new foot that's sending crosses in and dazzling us, but Mirto's work rate really sets the tone for this team.
Yeah.
And I think, he's a big reason why Torres has been so aggressive in attack. Is one,
Hmm.
that's his nature, but two, he's saying like, okay, the guy that, my Batman, my Robin, whatever you want to call it, my other DP is out there playing his ass off. I got to do that too.
For sure.
So I'm excited to see how, BV9 coming back in that, and the three DPs coming together really, sets the tone for this team,
Yeah.
and establishes that pecking order of like who gets the ball, who needs to be, is it DPs first? Is it let's play through Owen and Torres and try to get the ball on the head and the foot of Uzuni and Vasquez? Like, what does this look like?
Hmm.
Which leads me to a question of which storyline do you predict comes to life in the month of April?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I would say the storyline that I predict comes to life is probably the like revitalization of the defense, actually. And I know we just spent all this time talking about, the attacking third, but I feel that 5 games into the season now, um, this defense is going to get tested in ways that it's familiar with from last year. But you
Right.
know, also in some new ways, right? We've got, Messi and all those guys coming, or not coming, but we're going there,
Yeah, we're
and
playing
they've got to
against
hold firm
talent.
against that, to kick things off. And then from
Right.
everything else, it's just like, um, can they prove that that's that defensive, stoutness from 2025,
Yeah.
um, and kind of going that way. So that way it offers the offense a chance to kick back on as these pieces start to come back, online. So I
Yeah.
think that the defense is going to be, you know, key for us, in April.
Yeah. And I think that's a natural, you know, outcome or kind
Mm-hmm.
of, yeah, I'll stick with outcome from our big attackers coming back, right? And getting some consistency in the attack.
Yeah,
Because outside of that, I'd almost put asterisks on that Charlotte game, right? Because we went down a defender so early and had to just completely change the defensive setup and bring in John Bell for his first minute, just throw in guys in the fire and then
yeah,
expect the whole team to drop back and play 9 men defense. Um, I'd almost put an asterisk on that defensive performance, and that is half our goals allowed right there.
true.
Um, and I think what I'm expecting coming out of the international break is looking more like the LAFC matchup, where we
Mm-hmm.
had an aggressive attack, where we had a lot of possession and we're creating things out of that. And the defense was able to respond to that, right? And they knew we're going to have the ball. What we need to do is shut out the counters, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to snuff that before they get some momentum there. And then we had, of course, Uzuni and Torres and those guys, and even Christian Ramirez coming all the way back to the defensive third to do that big team defense mantra that Esteves likes to throw around. So,
Yep,
um, going back to the offensive piece, and I was kind of alluding to this. I think for me, what I need to see or what I expect to see from this month moving forward is really that three-headed beast of our DPs coming alive.
for
I
sure.
need to
And
see
goals.
Uzuni. Yeah, exactly. I need to see Uzuni Vasquez, and Torres really pick it up and say, this is what the offense looks like. And it goes through the three of us. If we're
Mm-hmm.
not getting the ball, if we're not creating, if we're not, forcing pressure on the defense, then we're not playing right. And I expect, that's kind of going to my preheated take as well. It all feeds the same thing of where we're going to eclipse those double digit goals in April.
Yeah.
And in league play, I think it's because of the returns of Vasquez and Wolf, and we start, like I said, seeing that pecking order come to life of who's going to get the ball, who's taking the shots, how does the run of play go through these guys and really create. Um, Something that stood out from that LAFC game. I can't remember the exact moment, but there was a moment in offense or in the buildup where you turn to me, you're like, "Yo, Driussi and Ring would have handled that easy." Like just
Right.
that moment in the creative buildup, like it would have just been seamless between the two of them to like create something out of that.
Yeah.
And I think once Wolf is back, potentially in the midfield, or Torres is in the midfield with him, or however that ends up playing out in the run of the attack, we'll start to see that stuff come to life where it's off of Uzuni, back heel pass to Torres over to Vasquez on the back post, and we start seeing those
Little
those plays.
flare, yeah, flare moves and stuff like that, which I think would be a great chance right now to just kind of plug in, a name that not many folks would expect about this, but CJ Fodre, I
Yeah,
think,
he saw
has
some of it.
shown that when he comes in, he can actually do some of that street, tiki taka
Yeah,
style, combination play. So shout out, CJ for that, and
getting that back
also
heel
wasn't his
attempt.
first touch against LAFC
Yeah,
like almost a goal.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, off the crossbar.
yeah,
There. Let's
always
lastly
making
hit
me scratch my
some.
head.
Yeah, yeah. Let's lastly hit a prediction here.
Let's do it.
In terms of points, we'll start with points, and then I want to get to the Open Cup piece because obviously we don't know our matchup yet, but
Yeah.
round 32, MLS teams enter. Will we make it forward? Let's see. So first predictions, we have 5 MLS games. We're not going to go game by game, win, loss, draw, but of the 15 points available in league play, how many do you think we take home?
So let's see. I think the home
We have 3 away games.
games. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the home games are feasible. So I think Galaxy and Dynamo, that's 6 points. I think between Miami, Toronto, and San Jose, I think 2 points. So I'm going to go with 8.
Okay,
So we got a couple of draws, a couple of wins there. I'm
I like
feeling,
it.
I'm feeling 8 points in the
Yeah.
month of April.
For me, it's somewhere between 8 and 10 points, right? So I think we win one of the 3 away games, and then it just depends on if we can win both home games, right?
Yeah.
I think we'll win one of those. I don't know which one it's going to be. I know LA Galaxy will have played the quarterfinals of the CCC right before they meet up with us. So will they be resting and rotating a bit? Who knows?
Yeah.
But to that point, I think what I want to see is 3 wins out of this, and then maybe a draw. Right? We draw at San Jose, I'll be happy. And we beat Toronto, we lose to Miami, and we beat both home games. A little 3-1-1
Right.
action. I think that'd be great. I think I'm expecting more like a 3-2, where we win both home games, we win one of the away games, and we lose the other two. What might be
Now,
most realistic is what you're saying, kind of a 2-1-2.
yeah. And I think if I had to point to one game out of all of these that fans should definitely key in on, you know me. If you've listened to this podcast, I don't give two shits about Messi or
Yep.
Miami. Feel free to watch that and have fun, right? But I think it's that game against Houston Dynamo
Yep.
that everyone should be circling down because in case y'all haven't been watching that team over in Orange, they've been scoring goals and they've been letting goals in, but like they are forcing the opposition to have their number bigger than their,
Yeah,
Houston's number.
exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Like they went and put 3 past Portland. They scored 2, and then away at Dallas, they scored 3. Dallas upped them, with 4 goals. So I think regardless, we're going to see goals that game. And I'm bummed to miss out on that one, but that one's going to be a firecracker for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's like, can we score more than them? I know that's the basic math of every soccer game,
Sure.
but they're
Yeah.
a team where they're going to put up goals in bunches in a game like that, and can we put up more than them?
Yeah.
Because their defense will be open for it. Yeah, I think that's great. A great call out. And then, yes or no, do we make it past the round of 32 Open Cup?
Yes.
I agree. We don't know who it's
Yes.
going to be yet. I don't even know if there's rumors of which USL team we might match up with, or potentially MLS team. I don't even know. But
Right.
we'll know in the next week or two. I believe we'll get to this, but we'll know more in the next week.
Yeah.
Let's get to
And
stopping.
Nico got these guys finally, treating
Sure.
tournament play, with
Yep.
respect. So
That cup final appearance, the
Yep.
team's hungry for another run, especially Vasquez, right? Who had to miss the majority of it after carrying us in the El Paso game.
Yeah. And
So,
Uzuni wants another crack at those penalties, I'll tell
yeah,
you
he
what.
does. Yes, he does. Damn. Let's get to stoppage. We got a number of things to get through here. So 5 players highlight Austin FC's international call-ups this window going into this weekend. We have Joseph Rosales going up to Honduras, Zvatak with Ukraine, Irvin Torres with the U.S. on U19s, Facundo Torres with Uruguay, and Uzuni, of course, with Albania. You talked a little bit about this. I think this is a win, though, for the club, right? A dedicated break where these guys can go up, get some run with their nation, come back, continue to contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Always good to wear your nation's badge and colors and all that good stuff. I think especially for Uzuni, who had himself a game against LAFC. I know it's going to be tricky against Poland, but honestly, if there's anyone that can kind of light that offense up, it would be him. So here's hoping, man. But
Here's hoping.
it's going to be a
Yeah,
good window
exactly.
for sure.
For sure. After 27 years, the Don Garber era may come to an end even sooner than expected, as he shared in an interview with The Athletic that there's a possibility he may leave before his contract expires in 2027. This wouldn't be a negative reasons. This would just to be allow whoever they hire to come in and replace him. But what do you have to say about what has been and what is to come for MLS after Don Garber?
Yeah, I think a lot of hate goes Don's way. I know I've been guilty of that myself in terms of how he's kind of hamstrung this league. And this can be an entire episode and a half of how that's happened. But a lot of credit should go to Don and the folks around the MLS front office to how it's developed the MLS to this point right now. But for him to, just already be looking for that successor and planning an exit, on his terms. Good on him. Um, but yeah, would be nice to see some, fresh air coming in, hopefully, with some good change. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious to what even can be done at this point, right? Likely no
Yeah,
more teams being added to the league.
sure.
We're at a good number here. Like what happens? What happens next?
Mm-hmm.
And of course the USL pyramid coming to light. Like how do we respond? How does MLS respond? So
Yeah.
looking around MLS, we have the Orlando City. They have signed Antoine Griezmann, French superstar. He is set to join the club this summer in the transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty crazy.
That's a major pool,
Yeah,
and especially because Orlando is not doing so hot right now. But I guess whatever contract numbers were pulled up. I think they've got a good one there,
for
so
sure.
going to be
And
interesting.
I want to shout out the Orlando City media team, social media team for the announcement. They just put a generational poll as their uh, tagline, and then they're like
Yeah,
doing like a card pack, and then
card
they
reveal.
get to the last card, and they zoom in all the way to the seats of the stadium, and it's Griezmann just sitting there like, we out here.
That was
So
a good one.
that was pretty cool, and it's true, like literally what you said. It's a crazy poll for the league and for that team specifically. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's of course the rumors of Lewandowski coming to MLS this summer, and always the different rumors, but rumor mill will continue to swirl after the signing.
Always.
Nashville knocked out Inter Miami from the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they'll be joining Seattle, LA Galaxy, and LAFC as the representatives from MLS in the quarterfinal, which I mentioned takes place in mid-April.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty crazy. Again, Miami's one of those teams you don't want to play, especially after something like a CCC early exit and their expectations. Right now, they have the league to play for. Is
Mm-hmm.
what they're looking at. Like they need to win something, right? So
Yeah.
crazy though.
Yeah, no, it's wild considering that this is the Miami team that had won the league and wanted this cup specifically to
Yep.
focus on.
And brought in
Um,
players with that in mind.
exactly. And so man, you just brought up an excellent point there. You just shook the wasp nest, but good on Nashville.
Mhm.
They've been absolutely rocking with their DPs.
Yeah,
Christian
crazy.
Espinoza over there now, and Sam Surridge over there. I can't remember how many hat tricks that dude's got now, but
A lot.
granted, this game specifically was won on an away goal by differential by Nashville, so
Yes.
good on them
Yep.
edging that out. But yeah, it's going to be good. It's another all MLS or Liga MX quarterfinal for CONCACAF, and so hopefully
Yes.
MLS can get it done.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Shout out Nashville. They're the DP. I hope our DPs can do what they do because it's the perfect formula.
Yep, truly.
Um, I mentioned this. The U.S. Open Cup is underway, right? And round two
Mm-hmm.
kicks off next week, and games can be watched on Paramount Plus. Coming out of this round, we'll know who Austin is facing. It'll be announced, and then we'll have an idea of what that mid-April game will look like. But yeah, it's happening. The action's live. The
Yeah, man,
Cinderella stories are building already.
we're getting back.
I hope we don't face San Antonio FC. No, actually, give them to us. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, let's avoid El Paso or San
Yeah, let's avoid it.
Antonio kind of scare.
Yeah, any
You
Texas
know,
team that has something to prove as to why they don't have an MLS team, I'm happy to
right?
avoid.
Yes, please.
But we'll have more to talk about there, hopefully throughout the year, because that means Austin is doing well.
Yep.
Looking abroad, Mo Salah announced that he will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season as a free agent. It was always rumored to be. Obviously, there's been some miscontent or whatever malcontent been swirling with Slot and leadership there, ownership
Yeah.
with Salah. But it's official. He announced it himself and said that he'll be leaving. So, what does this mean for Liverpool? Where does Mo go? What happens?
Yeah, man. Liverpool's been an interesting case this year. Not nearly as dominant as they have been in seasons past, but I think for Mo to finally make this decision signals that he's definitely open to. I don't know. He's probably going to be eyeing one of either like Madrid
Yeah,
or
the biggest
God,
clubs in the world.
with just those
PSV.
big clubs with
Yeah.
those big paychecks, man. Austin can do the funniest thing here, but
Bro, no way.
anyway,
No way. It's not
I'm
happening.
kidding. Wouldn't that be awesome though? Can you imagine? Oh my God, Mo
That'd be
Salah.
crazy. That'd be crazy.
Anyway,
Sell
that's
everybody. I don't care. Bring them in.
right. Just a team of 4.
Yeah, it's Salah and the next pro team
Yeah.
suiting up for Austin.
Yeah, right.
And cooking. He joined from, was it Bundesliga or Serie A? Where did he come to Liverpool from? I can't remember.
Technically from Chelsea.
Well, from Chelsea, but he was
But
playing.
I think before that, was it the Bundesliga?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was too.
Because when you said, him going to somewhere like Real Madrid or one of the biggest teams in the world, I was like, oh yeah, because he's already played in, I think it was Germany, but go back to one of the bigger clubs.
Yeah.
We'll
that's Cap. Italy. Yeah,
Okay, it was
that's right.
Italy.
So
Okay.
it was Chelsea, and then he was loaned out to Roma, and then
Roma,
they
that's what it was. Yes.
So
Okay.
Roma and then Liverpool. Yep. Wow.
Crazy. What a jump. Hey,
What
would
a
you
jump.
take him at Chelsea?
Would I? Yeah, I would.
Yeah, over Gittins and Garnacho.
Yeah, and Pedro
Yeah.
Neto, and just
Yeah.
sell half the
Everybody.
squad. Enzo is looking to leave apparently, or is in talks with Real Madrid. So like that's hurt my feelings, and so he can go. We'll have Mo Salah.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about that. Don't worry.
I noticed your exclusion of a certain team in stoppage.
Yeah, but we're just going to let that rest for a minute. They get one more week. It's going to get mentioned. Actually, no, it's not. UCL quarterfinals matchups are set with PSG to face Liverpool. Who cares who they played? Real Madrid facing Bayern, Barcelona facing Atletico Madrid, Atletico Madrid in a La Liga face-off, and then Sporting CP taking on Arsenal. That's cool.
Cupcake for the Gooners, bro. I can't even. I'm just laughing at this point. If they don't win it, they truly are the top D1 bottlers that everyone knows them to be. But I can't laugh too hard though, because we definitely got shot on 8-2 by.
Hey, but we got the Club World Cup. They had to get one back at us.
Yeah, you're right. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, we got Conference League. That was cool. All right, that's an episode. We appreciate y'all kicking it with us on this week's episode of the Verdependent Podcast. I'm Logan Bartlett. Catch me online at Lobar VHLM.
And I'm Paul Fletes. You can catch me on online at Paul Andrew FC. That's a government name.
Keep the chatter going online by following at the Verdependent on socials. And if you can, consider leaving a review, liking, and subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. That is an episode actually now. And peace.
Peace.
Damn it, Chelsea. Oh, why are you screaming at me?
Oh my God.